So let me tell you the story. There were two friends, Yash and Devanshi. Both had a job interview in one of the big four. Now, with respect to Yash and Devanshi, both had the same kind of background. Both were the same age. Both had just finished their graduation. They were 21. Yash was from a college called HR. Devanshi was from NM. Both are considered approximately the number one colleges for Bombay. Yash had done BCom. Devanshi had done BAF. BAF, for those who don't know, is BCom in accounting and finance. It's very similar to BCom. So if you think about it from the Big Four's perspective, both of these candidates were the same age, same educational background. So they both got hired. But Yash had also pursued ACCA along with his BCom. So when they both got hired, Devanshi was hired at a position called an analyst, which is what a normal graduate gets hired at. Yash was hired 2 designations above her at a position called an associate. Associates is what normal chartered accountants are hired at. Now, just to bridge this gap, Devanshi would take close to 4 years of promotions to get to where Yash was. Second, Devanshi's salary package a few years ago at the graduate level started with 2 lakhs and Yash's started with 7. So that's the difference that studying something along with your graduation can make. That's the kind of difference with respect to your career launches. So guys, hi, my name is Pratham. I am the co-founder and CEO of Zell, where we train students for courses such as ACCA. And that being said, this entire video is going to tell you, I'm going to go in depth to explain you guys everything about this program. So guys, just before I get into it, please do subscribe to this channel. We'll be posting videos on various courses, not just ACCA, but others, as well as case studies to help you in your academic journey as well as your career. So the first question is, what is ACCA? For those who don't know, the full form is Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Think of ACCA as global CA. When I say global, right, it's literally applicable across the globe, across the world in 180 countries. And when I say CA, what I mean is, technically, if you are a CA and I'm an ACCA, we would have both been on the same level. So ACCA means global CA. Now, are you eligible for it? The best part about ACCA that we've seen is that it's one of the only professional qualifications, global professional qualifications, which allows students as soon as they're out of grade 10 to start appearing for the exam. We have close to 15% of our students over here who are either in grade 11 or grade 12 pursuing ACCA, and that number is just growing. So whether you must have just given your 12th, maybe you're a graduate, maybe you're a CA, doesn't matter. As long as you've completed your class 10, you are eligible for ACCA. In fact, the youngest ACCA in the world completed all 13 papers by the age of 18, which means he must have started around 16 and a half, being eligible for ACCA, completed it in 18 months, and by the age of 18 became the youngest ACCA in the world. He is Indian born, based out of Dubai. So now that you have some sense of what ACCA is and whether you're eligible or not, now I'm going to get into the actual studying aspect, what it takes to complete and pass ACCA. First of all, ACCA has a total of 13 exams. These 13 papers are split into 3 levels. The levels being knowledge, skill, and professional. On an average, you give these exams once every 3 months. So the exams are on an average held quarterly. So if you have to start ACCA from the beginning, it would take you close to 2.5, 3 years to complete entire ACCA. Now, with respect to the exam structure, like I said, there were 3 levels, knowledge, skill, and professional. The knowledge level exams, basically I'm referring to the first 4 exams. The first 4 exams are called on-demand exams. By on-demand, I mean, let's say you start preparing for the first paper. It takes you on an average 2 months to prepare for the first paper. After completing it, you study, you're ready to appear for the paper. You call up a licensed exam center and say, okay, I want to give an exam. The licensed exam center tells you, no problem. Come on Monday, come at 10 a.m. You come, give the exam, 2 hours, only MCQs, no negative marking, clear the paper, and you move on to the next paper. The fact that you can give the exam anytime in the 365 days of the year is what makes these first 4 exams on-demand exams. After the first 4 exams, the balance exams, you have to give every March, June, September, and December. So I mean to say the exams are held every quarter and you have the option of appearing for 1 paper at a time, 2, 3 or 4 papers depending on your time availability and the speed at which you want to progress. Next, the passing rate of ACCA. We've had a lot of people asking us about this. So it on an average, across the world, if I take over the last 10 years, the passing rate of ACCA has been close to 40%, which means out of 10 students who appear for each exam, 4 of them clear. When you compare it to some other examinations which you might have heard about, been aware about, passing rate is ideally much lower than 40%. So that's a really, really good number, good metric to take a decision on if you'd like to take ACCA up. Lastly, I said there were 13 papers, but 13 papers are only applicable to you if you've either just given your grade 10 or grade 12. Above that, if you are either a graduate or either you must have, let's say, completed either your MBA or your chartered accountancy, when you start ACCA, you do not have to start from the first paper. You are then entitled to certain exemptions. So the more exemptions you're entitled to, the lesser will be the overall duration and the lesser is the overall number of papers you'll be giving. We have an entire different video which is talking about the detailed exemptions that you might be eligible for with ACCA. So please check that out as well. So to summarize the studying aspect, 13 papers on an average given every 3 months takes you around 2.5 to 3 years to complete your entire ACCA. Now, just like any other qualification, any other professional qualification, studying only the papers is not the solution. Every organization requires its members to display that they not only have theoretical but also practical knowledge. Just like CAs have articleship and CFAs have charter holders, ACCAs also require something beyond the 13 exams. This something beyond is called Practical Experience Requirement, PER. And the PER essentially comprises of your 3 years of work experience. Now, the PER has a couple of other legs to it, but I'm not getting into much detail. We have another video explaining PER in depth. So please do check it out. But once you finish all the 13 papers of ACCA without PER, only papers, you are known as an ACCA affiliate. When you combine that with the practical experience requirement, you become an ACCA member. Now, the most commonly asked question by students and especially parents, what is the future of me or my child if I study ACCA? So I'm going to split this into 2 parts. 1, what is the scope of ACCA in India? And 2, what is the scope of ACCA overseas? So when it comes to India, first of all, the scope in India has been increasing tremendously over the last almost decade. So there'll be a lot of people who would have not ideally heard about it, but the companies and the people who are hiring ACCAs have all been aware about it since a long time. So what kind of companies hire? As you must be knowing, right, the companies such as Big Four, which are KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, EY. After that, other big accounting and finance companies, Grant Thornton, BDO. These are just the biggest accounting companies in India, Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, other metros, which are hiring ACCAs. They hire ACCAs in almost all the domains that a CA gets hired in, except for Indian tax or Indian law. So whether it is accounting advisory, in ACCA, the accounting you learn, for some of you who understand, is international accounting standards called IFRS. IFRS is sort of newly adopted in India under the head of Ind AS. So whether it's accounting advisory, mergers and acquisitions, valuations, risk advisory, forensic auditing, statutory audit, these are the kind of domains that ACCAs in India, we know our team, our faculties are getting hired at. Lastly, the designation, the profile, the salary package is all commensurating with what CAs ideally get in India. So when somebody is thinking about the scope of ACCA in India, as long as you know the right kind of people who are hiring and the right domains to get into, ACCA has almost the same level of scope as that of CAs. This is what happens with ACCA in India. Now coming to ACCA overseas. From all the students that we ideally have, most popular countries that students want to reach are countries such as UK, Canada, Australia, Singapore, Dubai. Like I said, ACCA is actually applicable across 180 countries, but these are the more popular ones that students land up wanting to go to. We have had students who've gone to Canada, who've gone to Australia as well as Dubai from our institute because they've been able to get a job in these countries while studying ACCA in India. So there is tremendous scope. ACCA has an official job portal called acccacareers.com, which actually displays a list of what jobs are available in individual cities in these different countries, which you can apply from sitting here. So again, the scope of ACCA is literally widespread globally. Now, the second most common question after what kind of salary and what kind of scope is available with ACCA, the second most commonly asked question is, how much does ACCA cost? What are the overall fees? So let me try and make it as simple for you guys as possible, right? If you start from the first paper till the end, the total fees will be around 3.5 to 4 lakhs. This will be spread out over the entire duration. So if I take an average, students take 2.5 to 3 years to complete. So imagine you will have to shell out 4 lakhs over 3 years on an average. Now, if you have exemptions, like I earlier explained, you'll have probably skipped, let's say, one level maybe. So that means you have to give lesser papers and automatically your fees will reduce. Now, let me also tell you all what this 3.5 to 4 lakh comprises of. The fees, I can split it into a few components. Right? Number one, you have to pay exam fees to ACCA every time you appear for an exam. The exam fees on average is around 10,000 rupees per exam. Second, registration and subscription. Now, registration is a one-time fee. Subscription fees is something you pay annually, whether you're a student or eventually when you become a member. Third, study material you have to purchase. Fourth, training fees which you will have to pay. And fifth, anything over and above ACCA which you have to pay the ACCA body that might come across over your entire span of studying. So as a summary, once again, to do the entire course, it is around 3.5 to 4 lakhs. Now, if this amount is something that is comfortable to you spread out over such a period of time, ACCA is one of the greatest courses that have been available in India today in the field of finance. Something which is easy to start, barely any barriers to entry to begin it. It's relatively more flexible than other courses to complete. It's global in nature. The opportunities not only are in India, but even other countries. And not only that, you gain a little experience and you have the entire world to move forward. You can continue in the field of finance and accounting in whatever profession you are in. Or like some of our students, recently one of our students actually started his own startup in the field of finance after having studied ACCA with a couple of years of experience. So the world becomes open to you once you know that, okay, along with my college or at any point of time, I have studied something this powerful for your profile. So I hope that this gives you an in-depth understanding of ACCA. We've tried to cover everything from eligibility to the studying aspect, the scope, the fees, tried to cover as much as possible for you guys. With that being said, please do subscribe. If there are any other comments that you all have, you all want to ask anything to us which we've not been able to answer, please do put it down. We'll make it a point to get back to you all. Thank you. So guys, wait. Before you leave, I'm going to leave you all with the same old. Do you know what the difference between you and a successful version of you is? The successful version of you would not miss out on subscribing to this channel today.